Hey everyone, welcome back to News Now Nexus. If you're new here, I'm Emmanuel Bassi, and this channel is all about breaking news. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on our exciting new content. Let us dive into today's breaking news.
Topic of today: Israel-Hamas conflict. A united government faces unimaginable horror. In the wake of the Israel-Hamas conflict that has taken a horrific toll on both sides, a striking development has emerged: a unified Israeli government. In a time when unity is more crucial than ever, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Benny Gantz, and State Camp Chairman Benny Gantz came together to form an emergency unity government and a special war cabinet, emphasizing the resilience of the Israeli people. This unique collaboration, in the face of unspeakable tragedy, highlights the determination of Israel to confront its adversaries and defend its people. Listen to these.
Citizens of Israel, this evening we formed a national emergency government. The people of Israel are united, and today its leadership is also united. We have set aside any other consideration because the fate of our country is at stake here. We are going to work together, shoulder to shoulder, for the benefit of all Israelis, for the benefit of the state of Israel. And I would like to say to you, dear citizens, we've seen these savages, we've seen these barbarians we are dealing with. We are fighting against a brutal and vicious enemy, an enemy which is worse than ISIS. We've seen little children, boys and girls, being handcuffed and shot in their head, men and women who were burned alive, young women who were raped and massacred, combatants who were decapitated. In one place, they placed people together and brought spare tires, spare wheels from all around to have burning materials, and then burned these people alive. It is so horrific. It is so atrocious. The pain is so great. Every family in Israel knows someone who had perished. And you start hearing the news and you start hearing the names, and it's terrible. I think we all know people that their loved ones were massacred, were burned, were killed. But as great as this atrocity is, so is our heroism great. Men and women, mothers and fathers, combatants and civilians who showed extreme heroism and bravery. They all fought, and we are all fighting for our home. The unity among our nation in times of sorrow, it breaks beyond our boundaries and it reaches the whole world. We saw it yesterday in the important and moving speech of President Biden. I spoke with him today for the fourth time since this war broke out. We have unprecedented international support for Israel, and this is a critical component for this ongoing battle and warfare. Aircrafts are on their way here, and a lot of ammunition is coming to Israel and will be arriving at Israel, and it's important. We are fighting in full force in all theaters. Now we are on the offensive. Every Hamas operative will die. Hamas is ISIS. We will crush them and get rid of them, just as the world crushed and got rid of ISIS. I would like to strengthen our combatants, all the people in our security forces and relief and rescue forces. The entire people of Israel are behind you. And I would like to say to you, citizens of Israel, and I'm saying here to my friends, and I'm saying this to all of you, the words of the prophet Isaiah: we will all help out each other. Am Israel Chai, and together we shall win. Good evening. A murderous offensive was started on Saturday, worse than any other terror attack the world has ever experienced. Thousands of terrorists stormed with one purpose: to destroy, to murder, to pillage, and to slaughter. I have been serving the State of Israel as a soldier, as a combatant, for 47 years, and I've seen many difficult incidents, but something like that I never saw before. You heard the Prime Minister's description, and let me add, children who were bound to each other and were burnt alive, barbaric acts that the Jewish people had not experienced since 1945. These things were stopped only thanks to one thing: the heroism of the combatants. Over the past 3 days, I've toured the entire area. I've been to the army bases, the kibbutzim, the towns, and I met the combatants who came out of these battles. I heard their stories. I heard about the combatants who stormed first, who were killed, and then their friends followed suit and continued until they killed the terrorists. I saw the people from Yamam, the SWAT team, together with the police officers from Israel Police, together with the people from the ISA. They stormed, they lost their friends, and they rescued hostages. I saw a battalion commander who ran out of ammunition, crawled to the body of a terrorist, took a hand grenade, threw it into another room, and killed off the terrorist who was in Ofakim. I saw this. I heard this story. I met the people who were next to the brigade commanders who were killed in action, division commanders who heard the news, just jumped up, came there first, and at 8:30 a.m. were the first ones striving for contact in battlefield. Brigadier generals, I met a major general who killed with his own hands 14 terrorists. These are the heroes who stopped the murder, and we did stop it. We set a line, we cleansed the territory, and then we switched to the offensive. And I'd like to say now to all of you, we are going to completely destroy and kill off Hamas, or rather ISIS Gaza. They will perish from the earth. They will no longer exist. We will not accept a situation that Israeli children and babies will be murdered, and will carry on business as usual. We will make sure that they are perished. I would like to convey some strength to the citizens of the State of Israel. I know that this is a very difficult hour. I would like to thank the IDF combatants, as well as the police officers and the commanders who are doing this holy work all over the country. I would like to thank all our friends from all over the world who call me, and of course, tremendous appreciation to our great friend, the U.S. We shall triumph. Citizens of Israel, the citizens of Israel all over Israel, the citizens of the south, and the citizens living in the Gaza border communities who had to go through terrible personal experiences and showed such tremendous heroism in fighting, in waiting, in lasting. And I would like to convey my deepest appreciation to them. The State of Israel is now facing one of its most difficult times. These are fateful days. Our friends, our families were murdered and abducted by a ruthless and cruel enemy, an enemy that must be perished in all means and without any hesitation. The fact that we are standing here, shoulder to shoulder, is a very clear message to our enemies. And more importantly, this is a message to all the citizens of the State of Israel. We are all here together. We are all mobilized, and we are all rallying. I would like to say to every man and woman at home who feel afraid, apprehensive, who have lost their sense of security, I'd like to say to you that I understand this fear. I understand the pain, and I have no words to console you. But we must make no mistake. The State of Israel is the strongest country in the region. It has the most powerful military. It has the best men and women. And we can see it in aircrafts after aircrafts of young men who are men and women who are returning home to defend their home. And they are feeling this might in Gaza already. And if necessary, they will also feel that in Lebanon. The entire world will see it. Our enemies will experience blood and fire and smoke. The State of Israel is powerful because it has the military might, outstanding combatants and commanders, as well as brave Israeli citizens who are all mobilized to the very last one. Just as young men and women set off to battle from the right and from the left, religious and secular, from rural areas and from cities, thus as well the difficult decisions in the government will be reached by people who come from different camps. Because at such a time there is only one camp, the camp of the people of Israel. We are going to win, and we are going to change the strategic and security reality in this arena. Our partnership is not a political one, but we share the same fate. All of the citizens of the State of Israel share the same fate, and together we will shape our fate and future as well as our reality. I would like to emphasize all the members of the National Unity Party and myself are here to participate in this campaign managed by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Defense, and we are simply leaning in. We are mobilizing, just like all of our children are being mobilized and committed, because the entire Israeli society has been drafted. At this day and age, we are all soldiers of the State of Israel. It is a time to convene together and to triumph. It is no time for difficult questions. It is a time for powerful answers in the battlefield. The government and the security forces has important and extended backing from the opposition parties as well. And I do hope that some of them will join us over the next few days. Being united, this is what the Israeli people want, and this is mainly what the Israeli people need. This shared fate we all have as leaders is something that is shared by all Israelis. The fact that we have decided to bond together will lead to a change in reality and will help us rise to all the challenges. This war will provide security for all the citizens of Israel for years ahead. And from here, I would like to appeal to the families of all those who have been abducted, because their pain is immense and inconceivable. We will have to take some exceptional actions, and I would like you to know that we will do everything we can in order to bring back your loved ones, our loved ones, home. Citizens of Israel, I look to all of you in the eyes, and I would like to say that it's difficult to see this from this current situation, but we will definitely win. We will change the security reality for years to come. We will exterminate the enemy. We will bring back our security. These fields of death where our heroes died will resume to bloom again. And the entire State of Israel will grow stronger. There is a time for war and a time for peace. Now, it is a time for war. King David has already said, God Almighty will give its people strength, and God will bless its people with peace. Now, it is time for fearlessness in war, and after it, there will be some calmer times, and hopefully there will even be time for peace. And now we will go to work.
As the conflict rages on, the casualties continue to mount, with the densely populated Gaza Strip bearing the brunt of the violence. Thousands of bombs have rained down on Gaza, causing extensive devastation and leading to over 1,000 Palestinians losing their lives in retaliatory Israeli strikes following Hamas's incursion. Gaza, with over 2 million people living in a confined 25-mile stretch, faces an alarming humanitarian crisis, with grave concerns about the safety of civilians. Israel, too, has not been spared from the horrors of war, with approximately 1,200 lives lost as a result of Hamas's actions. One of the most disturbing aspects of this conflict is the inhumane acts committed on both sides. The reports of beheaded babies, as confirmed by a senior Israeli official, have sent shockwaves around the world. Israel Defense Forces International spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Carmarkis verified these shocking claims. This revelation was further corroborated by the Israeli Prime Minister's office. While the exact number of children beheaded remains unconfirmed, these gruesome acts serve as a stark reminder of the horrors of war and the need for an urgent resolution.
Yes, thank you for having me. Good morning. We've seen that footage. It's being investigated, and I would cautiously say that the preliminary assessment is that this is old footage. Again, preliminary assessment, we are in a very fluid situation, but I don't think that this is recent, and it needs to be verified for authenticity. Anything broadcast on Al Jazeera is suspect, to say the least, and usually they are a mouthpiece of different terrorist organizations, Hamas included. But point aside, I think that this footage doesn't actually portray what it's supposed to portray,
right,
and needs to be further corroborated.
So, Jonathan, when you say old footage, you obviously are saying it's not from today or the last 24 hours. Could it have been from Saturday or Sunday, or you think even prior to the attacks?
No, I'm talking about Saturday. There were events. We have old reports of. I've heard unconfirmed, in the millions of pieces of information that are flying around as this war unfolds. I did hear reports of some of the Israelis who were able to make their way back in the mayhem of the first hours. Again, unconfirmed and not very detailed, and that could be one of them. And again, I wouldn't lend very much credence to anything published on Al Jazeera, especially not if it's something that is supposed to benefit Hamas in the eye of global public opinion.
Right, okay. Initial intelligence then from you suggests that is old footage. Okay, let's talk about another main report that we've seen in the last couple of days. I spoke to you about this yesterday, but we've just heard from President Biden. He said it's important that the American people know what happened. I didn't believe I would ever see a picture of a terrorist beheading children. We've verified it. Yesterday, you couldn't verify those reports out of that particular kibbutz. What can you tell us today, Jonathan?
I can tell you that it's been verified firsthand by a senior official in our coronary service. It's called Zaka in Hebrew. They are the people who have the dubious task of locating bodies and bringing them to a proper burial. That's the service they do. And they are the people who collect the bodies. And there's a senior person who was identified on record. I think he was on CBS News, personally testified to the fact that he indeed saw the heads of severed babies. And I know that the Israeli Prime Minister's office has also corroborated the news. I, of course, haven't seen the atrocity myself, but I think those two sources should be enough to be able to verify this extremely horrible piece of information that we are confronted with.
30 babies being murdered, some of them decapitated. So do we know numbers?
Indeed, we are talking about Kibbutz Kfar Aza, which was a small and beautiful community with lots of gentle and peace-loving people who lived in harmony in the area with many Arab friends, friends in Gaza and who also provided livelihood for Palestinian workers from Gaza who used to work in the fields and agricultural areas of the kibbutz. These are the people who are now slaughtered. And I think that there was a major situation at the in one of the families or the areas where the children are, and that was what explained the absolutely horrific number of children and babies. I cannot confirm 40. Specifically, I cannot confirm the number 40, but I have read firsthand reports of many babies and the gruesome detail that they were also beheaded. And if we're into gruesome details, I've heard firsthand reports of a mutilated body of a pregnant woman. And the atrocities go on and on and on. As we uncover more bodies of Israelis, civilians, we find them tied with their hands behind their back and executed ISIS style, and people that suffocated to death or were burned to death inside their homes because Hamas terrorists lit their houses on fire and they didn't get out and they were simply burned alive or suffocated, and deaths by the most gruesome methods that I have seen. So yes, the atrocities are abundant, and again, this should serve to everyone who is watching this conflict and who cares about the situation. And I know that there are many in Australia who are very emotional about the situation in Gaza and are asking questions about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, etc. Those are valid questions, and I understand where they come from. But we must remember how this started, and we must remember what atrocity unleashed all this carnage, and that is what Hamas did to our citizens.
So, Jonathan, you're not unmoved by what you've seen coming out of Gaza, because they too have lost children.
Definitely. I don't think that anybody in Israel, or definitely not in the military, is unmoved or has any joy or interest in civilians being affected by warfare. That is never our aim. We fight against ruthless terrorist organizations, and when you do that, you have to be strong and apply force. That is the sad reality and the environment that we live in. I wish we had nice neighbors like you have, but we don't. We have horrible, murderous neighbors who are out to kill us, and this is not me saying it. This has been proven in blood, with 1,200 dead Israelis as proof for it, and against them we have to fight. And yes, we will continue to carry ourselves according to the laws of armed conflict. We will continue to strike proportionately. We will continue to strike military targets, but we are doing it with tremendous force because Hamas has overstepped and really unleashed the floodgates of hell on Gaza, and the responsibility is only on the shoulders of Hamas, not on us. It is on the shoulders of Hamas.
Okay. On the question of proportionality, 20 hours ago, the IDF tweeted that 200 targets had been hit from Israeli jets. That would culminate in, I think, 450 over that 24-hour period, or perhaps less. I note reports of those bombardments continuing right throughout the night. There seems to have been a significant step up in your strikes on Gaza this evening. Is that a correct assumption?
No, not entirely. The higher tempo of operations was more yesterday, up until yesterday morning. Today we are just 1:30 a.m. Israeli time on Thursday. I have to look at the watch to keep track. And yesterday was a day of intense aerial activity over Gaza, with lots of Hamas targets being struck in various places all around the Gaza Strip. As of now, I think that if you'll connect to a live feed, then the situation is relatively quiet. And what we are doing on our side in terms of the future is that we are, deploying the different sensors that we have, looking and listening and trying to pick up indications of the whereabouts of senior Hamas commanders to gain more understanding of where they are and what they're doing to intercept rockets when they're being launched and that type of operations.
That wraps up today's video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and found it entertaining, informative, helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really love to hear from you. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and join our community by hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, this is Emmanuel Bassi from News Now Nexus, signing off. Stay positive, curious, adventurous, etc., and see you in the next video. God bless.